those fears and those insecurities. Write them down. Put them down on paper. And then from there, what we want you to do, if you have a safe place, go outside. Light them on fire. That's right. You heard me correctly. In a safe place, if you have a fireplace, do it over there. I'm not telling you to just do this anywhere and have something where, you could start a fire. Don't do that. If you can't, if you're young, just make it simple. Crumble it up and throw it in the garbage. But write down your doubts, fears, and insecurities. I'm afraid of letting other people down. I'm afraid of looking bad in front of my parents, friends, coaches, teammates. What is it that you're afraid of? What are the things that you're afraid of? What are some of the things that are holding you back? So write them down. And then once you have them all down on paper, you take them outside or into a fireplace, some kind of controlled area, and you light them on fire. Why is that an important thing to do? Well, it's making, sometimes when we do something a little bit more dramatic, it registers in our mind a little bit more. I could tell you right now, think of some of your doubts, fears, and insecurities. First of all, if you don't write it down on paper, you're probably gonna do a half-hearted job. You're gonna think of one or two, and you're gonna say, "Yeah, I got them. I have them in my head," and you're just gonna let it go. But if we tell you to write it down on a piece of paper, make a nice long list. That list will probably carry on a little bit longer. We want you to write them down. Write down every one of your doubts, fears, and insecurities you could think of. I'm a senior. I don't want to end my season with I don't want to end my career with a loss. I'm afraid of losing to this person. Even writing down certain names of wrestlers that you're worried about wrestling, that you think about wrestling against. What are we afraid of? Letting people down. We want to look good in front of other people. For me, it might have been one of those things. I have two younger brothers. I want my younger brothers to look up to me. That would be an example. We don't want to let our parents down. Whatever it is, put it down on paper. Write down those doubts, fears, and insecurities. And then sometimes these dramatic examples register in our minds a lot better. We don't just keep it in our head. We write it down on paper. Then you torch the paper. Set it on fire. In a safe place. Nobody do this in your house. Obviously, if I say this once, I say it 53 times. Make sure you do it in a controlled place. If you're young and you're not allowed to touch matches, that's no problem. No problem at all. Crumble the paper up, rip it up, throw it in the garbage. It does the same thing. And I just like that. When you crumble up the paper, you rip it up with your doubts, fears, and insecurities on there. You have that paper, you light it on fire. What it does, it reminds you in your mind that you are the one who is in control. Your doubts, fears, and insecurities don't control you. You control them. And that's a big step in just reminding yourself that you are the boss. Our emotions, it's a lower level than our. And I was actually just having this conversation before we did this, my girlfriend and myself, and that is we're talking about the emotions and our feelings. That's more consistent with our body, lower level functioning. Now our mind, our soul, we can rise above those feelings. Our feelings are highly overrated. What I mean by that is you could feel scared before you wrestle, and you could choose to be aggressive. Okay, great, you're real nervous. We get it. Are you going to shoot or not out there? Right? That's an act of the will. The will is more of our mind and our soul. Right? When we just deal with like our emotions, we can override our emotions. You do every time when you cut weight. I feel like eating. I'm hungry. You override that with an act of the will. So our emotions, our feelings, I'm not saying they're not important. I'm just saying they're secondary to the mind and the soul, which is your will. So you say to yourself, I'm going to do this, and you do it. So we make that a dramatic example when we light that paper on fire, or when we crumble that paper up and throw it out. But write down those doubts, fears, and insecurities first, so you feel like you're in control of that. Very important. Very important. And again, treating these upcoming competitions just like anything else. We don't change it up all of a sudden because it's championship weekend. And you're going to see that's a big mistake that a lot of your opponents are going to make. They're going to start making it into a big deal. They're going to start overly focused on they're going to be overly focused on wins and losses and what am I seeded? We don't care about what we're seeded. We don't care who's in our weight. Don't look at the whole bracket. If I win, I go here. If I lose, I go down there. I might wrestle this guy in the semifinals. Look at how much harder the other bracket is than mine. Look at how much harder the Yeah, the one side of the bracket is the my own. We do that stuff regularly, and it just doesn't matter. It's immaterial. Focus on the things within your control, your effort, your attitude, and your aggressiveness. Predator mindset. In fact, I think it was last year at the NCAA tournament where seedings were all, and this may be one of your doubts, fears, or insecurities, where you're going to be seated, where you're thrown into the mix. So that might go on your paper before you light it on fire. But the NCAAs came back, or the NCAA seedings came back, and apparently a few things were in a different spot than people thought they would be. And what happened? They had a press conference with Tom Ryan from Ohio State, Cale Sanderson, Penn State, Tom Brands, Iowa, John Smith, Oklahoma State, Rob Cole, Cornell, not all of them, but a lot of the top coaches in the country. And what happened? They all said the same thing. Yeah, we're not happy with the seedings, but it doesn't matter. You know, who cares? We don't care about that. Just focus on wrestling. And in fact, there's some state tournaments in the United States where there's no seedings. You just get thrown in the mix. And that's how it is in the Olympics and the World Championships, by the way. The two best guys might hit each other first round. Blind draw. They just pull out of the hat. And that determines where your draw is. So we don't want to focus on the seedings. Am I getting the respect I deserve? We don't focus on that. All right? So like I said, treating it all the same and taking those doubts, fears, and insecurities, write them all down on a paper, list them out, as many as you can, and safely light it on fire. Or if you're young, crumble it up, rip it up, throw it in the garbage. It does the same thing. So that's our soup of the day. It's a mindset exercise. It's a dramatic example to really hit the point home that we're in control of our feelings. We're in control of those emotions, right? Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali both said on record, there's video footage on YouTube, that they were scared to death before all their fights, but they acted differently. In fact, Mike Tyson's trainer, Cus D'Amato, when Mike Tyson was the champion of the world, he said, the hero and the coward feel the same thing. They have the same feelings. The difference is the hero takes action. The hero is disciplined to do what he wants to do, whereas the coward feels the same exact thing the hero feels and isn't aggressive. They don't do the things that they know that they know they should be doing. All right? So we want to be the hero. There's nothing to do with how we feel. That's the subjective part. And also, we can interpret it a different way. We heard Cale Sanderson talk about this. He said, you feel the same kind of feelings. You could interpret those feelings as scared, nervous, worried, stressed, or on the other hand, you could view it as motivated, spirited, excited, adrenaline. And think about it. If you watch some of the interviews of the top athletes, that's how they usually describe these same kind of feelings. They say, yeah, I feel energized, motivated, adrenaline, spirited. And other people who don't do as well, they tend to look at it as fear, nervousness, and stress. So you could interpret it however you choose to interpret it. Why not put a positive spin on it? All the best athletes do. So why shouldn't you? All right, very good. Make sure we write those doubts, fears, and insecurities down on paper, whether you're a wrestler or not. Light them on fire, rip them up, throw them out in the trash. Remind yourself you were in control of your mindset. You were in control of your emotions and your feelings. We override it all the time. When we cut weight, we override it. When we get the exercises in, we override it. When we work on our mindset, we override those feelings. Simple. Simple stuff. All right, make sure, if you haven't already, go to our website, www.wrestlingmindset.com. Make sure you sign up for your free trial session today and take a look at our 10-day confidence crash course. There's still time before the end of the season. And if your season's over, let's get it going right now, starting right now, going with our mindset training moving forward. Again, having your own one-on-one personal coach is definitely going to get you the best results. Like I said, you wouldn't believe the nice messages we've been getting lately from people all across America, constantly people winning their tournaments, wearing their Z Wrestling Mindset shirt. It's awesome. Make sure you get in touch with us if you want a shirt. We get that out to you. And like I said, unbelievable things, but it's because these wrestlers have been putting in the time with their mindset coach. They know how to think properly, and when their opponents go against them, they're getting caught up. The opponents are getting caught up in the traps. Our wrestlers are able to, by and large, deal with that very, very effectively. So we're happy to be part of that. Again, sign up for your free one-on-one trial session today. We also have a team program that if your team wasn't on the Wrestling Mindset Plan, you should do that next year so you have your one-on-one sessions. Doing the mindset worksheets, the mindset exercises. Again, tonight that was an example. We lit our doubts and fears on fire. That's an extreme example. You're probably not going to do that other places. And we're here to give you that and much, much more with these exercises and these worksheets. The same stuff we do with the United States Olympic teams, preparing them for the 2020 games in Tokyo. Make sure you stay with us, Wrestling Mindset. I'm Gene Zanetti, your coast-to-coast mindset coach from Wrestling Mindset, bringing you the best available wrestling-specific information anywhere in the world. Make sure you stay with us, Wrestling Mindset. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, you name it, we're there, constantly pumping out great information. Stay with us and join us for our Spiritual Strength call in 40 short minutes. Spiritual Strength. Have a good night, everybody.